Welcome my YouTube channel Leap Inspire. Charity was born into comfort so deep that struggle sounded like a rumor meant for other people. From the very first day she opened her eyes, life had already been arranged neatly for her, as if the world itself had decided to serve her without question. Everything was soft. Everything was easy. Nothing ever waited for her effort. If she cried, someone rushed. If she wanted, it appeared. If she demanded, it was obeyed. She lived in a large city house that stood proudly among other fine buildings, yet somehow it always looked louder, richer, more important. The paint never peeled. The compound was always clean. The flowers were trimmed with care, and the gate opened smoothly, almost respectfully, as if it already knew that important people lived inside. The house did not just shelter a family, it announced power. Inside that house, nothing was ever unfinished. If something needed to be done, someone else did it. Charity never learned how to wash her clothes or clean her room. She never swept a floor or made her bed. Those jobs were handled by many maids who moved quietly like shadows, careful not to attract the anger of the young madam whose mood could change the atmosphere of the entire house. If Charity wanted water, she did not stand up. She shouted. If her uniform was not ironed properly, she shouted louder. If food arrived a few minutes late, she complained as if a great injustice had been committed against her. She was still in secondary school, yet she behaved like someone who owned the world. Her voice was sharp. Her words carried fear. Even adults avoided crossing her path. She enjoyed ordering people around. It made her feel powerful. It made her feel important. In her mind, respect was not something to be earned. It was something people owed her. "Why is my breakfast cold?" she once yelled, pushing the plate away in disgust. A maid rushed forward, her hands trembling slightly. "Sorry, madam. I will warm it." Charity rolled her eyes and clicked her tongue. "If you can't do your job well, leave it for someone else." The maid said nothing. She only nodded and carried the plate away. No argument, no explanation. Charity felt satisfied. To her, this behavior was normal. That was how life worked when you had money. People served. She commanded. At school, Charity carried the same attitude with her. She attended one of the best secondary schools in the city, a school many parents prayed their children would enter. The classrooms were clean, the teachers were trained. Discipline was expected. But Charity acted as if those rules were meant for others, not for her. She arrived late almost every day, stepping out of expensive cars without any sense of urgency. When teachers questioned her, she smiled and walked past them. When she was punished, her parents were called, and somehow the punishment always disappeared. Charity noticed this pattern early, and it gave her confidence to misbehave even more. In class, she slept with her head on the desk, chewing gum carelessly. Sometimes she used her phone under the table, scrolling and smiling while lessons continued around her. When teachers asked her questions, she laughed it off. "Sir, I forgot," she would say casually, as if forgetting was fashionable. Her grades dropped slowly, then sharply, but she didn't care. She believed school was a waste of time. She believed money would open every door she needed in life. Her classmates whispered about her. Some envied her lifestyle, others disliked her deeply. A few feared her. Charity noticed none of it. She lived inside her own bubble, sealed tightly by privilege. Back at home, her parents watched helplessly. Mr. Okori was a respected man in the city. People greeted him with honor wherever he went. In church, he held an important position. He spoke about good morals, discipline, humility, and the fear of God. His words inspired many. His wife, Mrs. Okori, was equally respected. She was known for her calm nature, gentle advice, and quiet strength. Together, they looked like a perfect couple raising a perfect child. But behind closed doors, they worried deeply. Mrs. Okori often sat alone in the evenings, staring into space, thinking about her daughter. She remembered Charity as a sweet little girl who loved bedtime stories and warm hugs, a child who laughed easily and said thank you without being reminded. Somewhere along the way, that child disappeared. "Good evening, Mommy," Charity would say without stopping, her eyes fixed on her phone. Sometimes she didn't greet at all. Mrs. Okori tried everything: calm talks, gentle warnings, emotional conversations filled with tears. "Charity, this life you are living is not good," she once said softly. "Money cannot buy character." Charity scoffed. "Mummy, please, everyone is fine. You worry too much." Those words hurt more than insults. They felt cold, dismissive. Mr. Okori noticed the change too. He noticed how visitors looked uncomfortable around Charity. He noticed how maids quit often, leaving quietly without explanation. He noticed the whispers in church, the careful smiles, the unspoken judgments. One Sunday after service, a woman pulled Mrs. Okori aside. "Madam," she said gently, choosing her words carefully, "your daughter is beautiful, but you need to watch her character." Mrs. Okori forced a smile, but her heart sank. That night, she cried quietly so Charity would not hear. Charity, on her part, felt untouchable. She believed her parents' status protected her. She believed consequences were for poor people. She laughed loudly, bossed people around, and ignored advice. Pride wrapped around her like a crown. One afternoon, a family friend visited the house. During the visit, Charity insulted the woman openly over a small issue about sitting space. "Why are you sitting there?" Charity snapped. "That's my seat." The room went silent. Even the ticking of the clock sounded loud. Mr. Okori stood up immediately. "Charity," he called sharply. She frowned. "What?" "Apologize. Now." She shrugged. "For what?" Something broke inside Mr. Okori at that moment. Not loudly, quietly, like a crack spreading through glass. After the visitor left, he called Charity into the sitting room. "Sit down," he said firmly. She sat, arms crossed, wearing a bored expression. "Your behavior is a problem," he said slowly. "You have no respect for anyone." Charity laughed. "Daddy, you're exaggerating." That laugh felt like a slap. "You embarrass us everywhere, mister." Okori continued, his voice shaking slightly. "Do you think money can cover bad character?" Charity stood up angrily. "I'm tired of this talk." She slammed the door and walked away, leaving silence behind. That night, her parents talked for hours. They talked about their mistakes, about how they had confused love with indulgence, about how they had protected Charity from hardship instead of preparing her for life. They talked about fear of losing their daughter to pride, emptiness, and a future built on nothing real. By morning, one decision stood heavy but clear: boarding school. Mrs. Okori was afraid. "She will hate us." Mr. Okori closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. "If hardship is what will teach her humility, then we must allow it." Comfort has already failed her. Charity slept peacefully that night, unaware that her life of ease was about to end, unaware that the world she controlled so easily was about to change. Charity did not notice the change at first. That morning felt normal. She woke up late, stretched lazily, and waited for someone to knock on her door. No knock came. She frowned, checked her phone, and shouted, "Where is my uniform?" No answer. She shouted again, louder this time. Footsteps finally approached, but instead of a maid, her mother stood at the door. Mrs. Okori's face looked calm, yet firm in a way Charity had never seen before. "Get dressed," her mother said. "Your father is waiting." Charity rolled her eyes. "Why? I'll be late for school." Mrs. Okori paused for a second. "You are not going to your old school." Those words meant nothing at first. Charity walked downstairs lazily, still scrolling on her phone. Her father was seated in the living room, dressed neatly, his expression unreadable. Two suitcases stood beside him. "What's this?" Charity asked, annoyed. "You're going to boarding school, Mr. Okori said simply. The words hit her slowly. Then all at once, "What?" Charity laughed. "This is a joke." "No," her father replied. "It's not." Charity's laughter faded. "You can't be serious." "We are," her mother said quietly. Charity's face hardened. "I'm not going anywhere." Mr. Okori stood up. "You are leaving today." That was when Charity exploded. She shouted, she insulted, she accused them of betrayal. She called them wicked. She said she would never forgive them. Her words flew like knives, sharp and careless. Mrs. Okori cried silently. Mr. Okori listened, without interruption. When Charity finished, breathless and shaking, he spoke. "We gave you everything," he said, "and it destroyed you. If you stay here, you will lose yourself completely." Charity laughed bitterly. "I'll call my friends. I'll call my uncle. You can't do this." "Mr." Okori shook his head. "Everyone already knows." That was the moment Charity felt fear. The drive to the boarding school was quiet. No music, no phone. Charity stared out of the window, anger burning inside her chest. The city slowly faded into long roads and unfamiliar surroundings. Her confidence began to shrink with every mile. When they arrived, Charity's heart dropped. The buildings were old. The paint was dull. The compound was wide but bare. No flowers, no shining gates, no luxury cars. Girls in plain uniforms moved around quietly, carrying buckets, sweeping paths, washing clothes. Charity stepped out of the car slowly. "Where are the rooms?" she asked sharply. A woman approached them. Her voice was firm. "I am the matron." She did not smile. "This is your dormitory," the matron continued. "No phones, no special treatment. Everyone follows the same rules." Charity laughed nervously. "You don't know who my father is." The matron looked at her calmly. "Here, that doesn't matter." That sentence hit harder than any slap. Her parents hugged her briefly. Mrs. Okori whispered, "Please learn." Mr. Okori said nothing. He only nodded once. Then they left. Charity stood there, alone, for the first time in her life. The first night broke her. Her bed was hard. The room was crowded. Girls talked, laughed, complained. Someone snored. Someone cried quietly. Charity lay awake, staring at the ceiling. No maid, no comfort, no silence. In the morning, a bell rang loudly. Charity covered her ears. "What nonsense is this?" "Wake up," someone shouted. "Chores." She sat up slowly. "Chores?" A girl laughed. "You'll learn." They were sent outside with brooms. Charity held hers like it was poison. "I don't sweep," she said proudly. The matron's voice cut through the air. "Start sweeping or stand in the sun." Charity stood. Minutes passed. The sun burned. Sweat ran down her face. Her legs shook. No one came to save her. Finally, she picked up the broom. Her hands hurt. Her back ached. Dust filled her nose. For the first time, Charity worked, and it felt unbearable. Days passed. Then weeks. Charity tried to fight. She talked back. She refused instructions. Each time, punishment followed. No calls home. No excuses accepted. Her body changed. Her hands grew rough. Her pride cracked. Slowly. At night, she cried quietly so others would not hear. She remembered her soft bed, hot food, clean clothes. She remembered shouting and how powerful it made her feel. Now, nobody listened. One evening, while washing her clothes by hand, her fingers bleeding slightly, she broke down completely. She sat on the ground and cried openly. A girl beside her spoke gently. "You'll survive." "We all do." Charity looked at her. "How?" The girl smiled sadly. "By learning." That night, Charity prayed for the first time in years. Not for money, not for comfort, for strength. Slowly, something changed. She began to wake up on time. She swept without being forced. She apologized when she made mistakes. Her teachers noticed. Her classmates noticed. One day, she helped a younger student carry water. The girl smiled and said, "Thank you." That simple word felt strange, but warm. Charity realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. She had been empty before, and now, through pain, she was becoming full. Months later, during visiting day, her parents arrived. Charity walked toward them slowly, her posture different. Her voice softer, she hugged her mother tightly. "I was angry," she said quietly, "but you saved me." Mrs. Okori cried openly. Mr. Okori placed a hand on Charity's shoulder. "You found yourself." Charity looked around the school. The hard ground, the simple buildings, the girls laughing honestly. For the first time in her life, she felt real, because comfort had raised her body, but hardship had raised her soul. Charity's story reminds us that comfort can raise a body, but only hardship can shape a soul. She learned that respect is not demanded, it is earned through humility and effort. Money had given her everything except character, and pain became her greatest teacher. In losing her comfort, she discovered strength she never knew she had. The world stopped serving her, and for the first time, she began to serve herself. True growth started the day excuses ended. And that is how a spoiled girl became a strong, grounded woman.